Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast. My name's Neil.
My name is Brent.
And we are here for podcast number 29 on December 31st, 2017, the last day of this year. What a year it's been for hockey and for us and
for Post to Post.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
It has ups and downs and more ups though.
Oh, lots of ups, lots of ups.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly mention on your screen you're going to see a money goal part. I don't know where I'm going to put it on the screen, but I want to explain it first before we begin. It says $89 of $1,400. I'm putting that there because it's our current goal. The people on Patreon who support us, I think it's important for us to show you guys where your money is going and what we're doing with it. I don't want you guys to contribute and think that we're just blowing the money on whatever, or and I know you guys probably don't think that, but and you probably don't even care where we spend the money or how we spend it. You just want to support us, and we appreciate that. But I think it's important that we show you where your money's going and how you're helping Post to Post in general. So that total's there because the first thing that we want to do to improve technically is get a better camera for Post to Post videos and specifically for this podcast, because right now we're filming on a GoPro and it looks fine. No one probably cares, but it is kind of crap. And the main reason that we want to upgrade cameras is actually due to battery reasons. We film on my 6D, the normal videos. We film this on a GoPro. Both can only run off battery, except the GoPro can run off USB power, but it's just the video quality is an issue there. So I'd like to get a camcorder, which can allow us to have better video quality and also run a fully off power and not have to worry about batteries. And it'll shoot 4K. Not that I have any interest whatsoever in shooting 4K, but that's the next thing that we need to upgrade for the channel. And it's going to take probably 6 months or more, probably more actually, to raise that money. And I'm not putting this out there because I want anyone to go buy me the camera or anyone to contribute a ridiculous amount of money. The entire point is that it's a goal that we work on over time. I'll be contributing some of my personal money as well, of course. And it's something a goal that needs to grow slowly over time. Like I said, I'm not putting this out there because I want anyone to go buy me a $1,400 camera. So just
the regular the regular Patreon contributions that trickle in.
Right.
You will allocate some or all of them to this goal.
Right. About half of the Patreon contributions go towards paying the podcast fee, paying the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite, paying for the internet that we use and stuff. And then whatever's left over is going to go towards this. And each podcast video, I'll update the amount. Each first podcast of the month after the Patreon stuff goes through, I'll update the amount. So.
And the issue with the 6D, I think you already said so, but just so I understand, the 6D, it's a great camera, but it can only film for half-hour chunks at a time.
Yeah, and that's another reason too. Yeah, it can only record for 30 minutes, and I mean I can get up and start it again or whatever. But if we're on a roll or something like that, and I see that there's 3 minutes left, well, we better wrap it up because I don't want to get cut off mid-sentence. So.
And people who've watched all the shows have seen that happen a few times.
Yep.
It would be into something and probably an interesting topic. And then all of a sudden it's like, how much time do we have left? Because there's no timer that shows us what's time. We almost have to keep track of it ourselves in our brain or with a device. And if we forget to start that device, then it's a guess.
We usually guess. We're pretty good at guessing now. But we have a kind of a feeling, okay, I think we're probably around 20 minutes. Let's start to wrap it up.
But the show gets clunky. And not that the podcasts have to be more than 30 minutes long, because there's takes and there's retakes and edits and things. So it might take 35 minutes to do a really good job on a 20-minute show.
Yeah.
But you can't get that 35 minutes right now.
Exactly. So, yeah. It's like you said, it's a great camera, but it's old. I bought it in 2012. It's done a lot of stuff. I've used it for photography since 2012, and I've done, I think, at least 460 videos.
2012 was a good year.
Didn't you get that in 2010?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
For the audio listeners, he's holding up a phone. Desperately in need of an update. That's a Nexus 5.
Yeah.
Built in 2009.
It's great.
Yeah.
Great phone.
It's not. It's funny. I didn't hear you say that this summer when you threw it in my truck, and because you were frustrated with it.
I don't remember.
Oh, I remember vividly. All right. So yes, thank you everyone on Patreon who contributes. That's what your money will be going to. And once we get the new camera, um, hopefully things work a little bit better around the post to post crew here.
Yeah, it's all about improving the content and quality of what people are saying that they like, and they're saying they like it with their wallets or with their comments or with their mail.
Definitely.
And it's really enhancing that. You're not going on vacation. You're not.
No.
In fact, you're not deriving income from any of the
No.
the intake here. It's all going into the show. It's going into buying things that make the show better.
Totally. Yeah. I'm losing money because I'm putting money into this show, and but it's important because I love it. So.
Oh, that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So let's transition to some hockey now. I don't want to wait any longer to talk about this. It probably deserves its own video, but I'm hoping that enough people see it in the title of this podcast and click to listen. USA versus Canada outdoor game.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots to talk about in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to first talk about the boarding call. I can't remember the two players involved. I apologize. Canada got a 2-minute boarding call behind their own net, I believe, on an icing or a potential icing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pretty nasty hit. I was really unhappy with that call. It was 2 minutes for boarding. I thought for sure it should have been 5 minutes for boarding.
I agree, actually.
Yeah, Canada should have got a major there.
Yeah.
I think the USA really got gypped with just that 2-minute power play.
Mm-hmm.
But things kind of balanced out, I guess, in a way, because there was a 5-on-3 by the U.S., and where Canada got 2 penalties within like 30 seconds on the same play or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought one of them was absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that should have been a penalty. So it should have been 5-on-4, not 5-on-3. And USA ended up scoring on that 5-on-3. And so it kind of works both sides in a way, I guess.
These things usually tend to even out. When you're talking World Junior Hockey, you've got an international cadre of referees and linesmen, all the officials, and you don't always get the same quality of officiating. But one good thing about it is the same quality of officiating usually is directed at both teams, so the calls will even out.
The point is the officiating was absolute garbage, in my opinion, that game.
Mm-hmm.
There was offsides that weren't called, and I understand there's snow on the ice, and it's hard to see the lines, but there was blatant offsides that were not called in that third period on both sides, both teams. It was really frustrating to watch. But.
And the outdoor game became the thing. Like, we, as hockey fans, we want to see a good hockey game on the ice.
Right.
And we didn't see that with the outdoor game. The outdoor game was going to go forward regardless of anything else. In fact, the outdoor game, the entire tournament had to be adjusted and fiddled with to make the outdoor game even possible, because Canada and the USA finished 1-2 last year. Not theoretically, but by rules, that would put them in 2 different pools for the following World Junior Championship, which is the one that's underway right now. So Canada and the States would not face each other at all until the crossover game or the final.
Right.
And this was just a pool game. So the only way to get Canada and the States in that outdoor game was to fiddle with the pool and put them both on the same side.
Yep.
And instead of what the rules say ought to happen in the IIHF. So that was fiddled with.
Totally.
So the whole thing is a manufactured, artificial matchup that was set up to drive the vehicle of the outdoor game. I'm not saying that's a crime, but it's
business related.
It's business related. It set a record for attendance, but not nearly what they thought they might get. When they did the football, when the Bills play there, it holds a little over 71,000 people. Mm-hmm. And when they play hockey, I think Buffalo played there once a couple of years back in a Winter Classic, and it was just a little over 70,000. And they were talking about 60 to 70,000 spectators for the World Junior.
Okay.
But in the end, they only got 44,592.
Still a lot of bums.
It's a lot of bums for a junior game. It sure is. Yeah. But
I think weather probably had a part to do with it. But
yeah, it probably did. Having it in Buffalo, the Buffalo Niagara area, you're drawing on Toronto fans or Toronto Canadians. Peterborough Canadians, Hamilton Canadians, like people that are
Niagara.
Fort. They're everywhere.
Everywhere,
and they can get across to Buffalo in fairly short order. And that's part of the deal here. They knew they'd draw in a lot of Canadian fans to come over to Buffalo to watch this game outdoors. And there were. The attendance for some of the indoor games, however, are not that great. We saw lots of empty seats in some games that probably should have better attendance by our standards as Canadians.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
It would not be right of us to continue without recognizing the absolutely stellar, beautiful job that the USA team did with their jerseys.
Oh, man.
To honor the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, man, that was amazing. The big numbers in the small USA, the monochrome jersey otherwise, it was fabulous. It looked gorgeous.
When I saw that jersey for the first time, I was blown away. And it's so simple, and it's technically a copy, but it's paying homage to the team. It looks so good on them, and it looks so good on the ice. It was just a tremendous job by that team. And whoever made that decision, giant marks for you.
Yeah.
Maximum marks.
Really well done.
Yeah.
And the Americans played well. They
dominated that last half of the game.
It was a very hard game to play for both teams. Canada was up 3-1 and ended up losing in a shootout. It probably turned out the way it should have turned out.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I think USA definitely deserved to win that game. They dominated that last half of the game. So, and it was exciting hockey to watch, even as a Canadian, even though we lost.
Yeah, it was. And I would have loved to have been at that game.
Yeah, me too, actually.
I got thinking, if I was a spectator, that would be a great game to be at. And there's a little less on the line because it's not a championship game or something, so it's just a round-robin game. The outcome really didn't affect much, and Canada did steal a point there.
It was quite a meaningless game, for sure.
Yeah. So it was all about the game itself. There's elements of it. I don't like how it was set up, and I really don't like hockey games in football stadiums just because the fans end up being so far away.
Well, someone commented, and I apologize, I forget your name, and they said that they were at an outdoor game. I think maybe the Minnesota game. No, it wasn't Minnesota. I can't remember who it was. It doesn't matter. They were sitting in the very last row, and it was snowing so hard that they couldn't. Not only couldn't see the play or the puck on the ice, they couldn't even see the ice, the arena, like anything. They just saw a snow wall in front of them, and they left at the halfway through the second or the end of the second. Went home and watched the TV, and watched the third period at home, and said it was like 10 times better.
Wow. And I guess, for those of you who don't drive in snow, you don't know what this is like. But as Canadians, if you're driving in a snowstorm and you've got your high beams on, you just see a wall of snow in front of you. In fact, a lot of people will go to their low beams, even if there's no oncoming traffic, because it's easier to see because your headlights aren't pointed up into all that snow.
Yeah, low beams are so much more advantageous for snow.
So just imagine being in a large football stadium with all these massive mercury vapor, whatever kind of lights they have up there, doing that high beam thing and all the snow. What you're seeing, if you're at one end of the facility, is you're looking through all this snow that's being backlit, or front lit, I guess, by the lights that are behind you or over your head. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no wonder you can't see anything beyond it.
Frustrating. And the cold, too, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I have a bit of a story about the cold and how that was managed, at least on the Canadian side.
All right, you hook me up with the story.
I will.
I'm ready.
I will. Okay, this involves a chap by the name of Kevin Elliott. He is the athletic therapist.
Did you just say chap?
A chap.
Nice.
A fellow.
Well
yes,
done.
A chap. By the way, of Kevin Elliott, and he's the athletics therapist for the Canadian team. And there was a great article in the Athletic online magazine about him and his colleagues who work so hard behind the bench. These aren't coaches. These aren't the people you see telling the players what to do, but you see them on the bench because they're wiping the visors, wiping the helmets. They're just doing all kinds of amazing things. And this, excuse me, this isn't just a matter of going to the outdoor game and trying to deal with it. There was a lot of preparation that went into this for all of probably on the American side as well, I'm sure. Starting back in August, the equipment managers, the therapists, all these people started contacting NHL teams who have played outdoor games in the past and asked them for pointers. They also contacted the Buffalo Bills themselves, saying, "Look, you've played here and it's been cold outside. Like, what do your trainers do, to keep the team players warm? Mm-hmm. What management tactics do you have?" Kevin Elliott himself knows some bobsledders, and he talked to the bobsledders and said, "How do you guys stay warm? What is it? What do you do?" Because they wear helmets as well. So there's the whole helmet visor thing was a big deal. And it was all about snow control. It was about keeping them warm, but mostly about keeping them dry. And that's what they heard from all the sources that they went to. Like, what's the big thing in an outdoor game? And it's keeping them dry. After every period, they changed right down to nothing. Underwear
Really?
and all. Underwear and all. Everything. Because even on a cold day, hockey players will sweat.
Oh, yeah.
So they would go right down to the buff and get back on with totally dry clothing at the beginning of every new period.
Interesting.
And there were times when, let's say there's a timeout and all the players are at the bench. People wouldn't wipe off until it was almost ready to go back on the ice, because if you wiped off too early, got the snow off, more snow would gather in time before you went back out into the play. So they tried to time when they were cleaning and everything.
It's just little things.
Yeah, and Jordan Kyrou, one of the Canadian players, he had fallen down out on the ice in a snowbank, basically, and came in and asked Kevin Elliott, can you unfreeze my shirt? And sure enough, he turned around, and the back of his jersey was like hard.
Wow.
It was one sheet of ice, and they had to put warm towels on it to get it to soften up and dry it off a little bit so he could actually move in the jersey and play.
Gee.
So it's a very, very interesting article by a gal from The Athletic. Now, interesting, the final footnote on Kevin Elliott. He is the athletic therapist for the Charlottetown Islanders.
Really?
He's from town here. Yeah, he lives
No way.
probably not far away from us.
That's really interesting.
And he's been doing this for several years, and he was very grateful to his wife and family for allowing him to be away over Christmas. 'Cause
Yeah,
you have to be away over Christmas to do this.
Yeah.
And they've been very gracious about letting him go and do this, and he's just having a blast. So that's one of the things that was an extra burden on him and the rest of the support staff and the team this year because of that darned outdoor game. It's not just a regular routine.
Yeah, it's a great time of year to have it because everyone at home has the ability to watch it because it's Christmas and stuff. But it's really tough on everyone involved with the game, the camera crews and like the broadcasters, and like all these guys need to be away for Christmas. That's a hard thing to do.
I'm curious to see how the camera angles will look on New Year's Day. This podcast is being taped on New Year's Eve day. Most people might hear it by tonight, but some may not hear it until after the game we're about to talk about later is played tomorrow, New Year's Day. But the camera angle that we saw the other night with the outdoor game on Friday wasn't great for me.
It wasn't great. Sometimes it was a bit too tight. The biggest complaint I had, which is a ridiculous complaint, is that when they were cleaning the ice of snow, they weren't showing them cleaning the ice of snow. They were showing close-ups of guys on the bench just looking around. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see how they're cleaning the snow. I want to see how much snow is on the ice and how they're cleaning it.
Exactly. They were filling these big wheelbarrows and large garbage cans and like hefting it over the...
It was interesting.
It was fascinating, but we hardly got to see any of that.
Shame. Because
we were getting pictures of people in the crowd or like you say, players sitting on the bench, not doing anything, just staring off at something else that we're not able to see.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And I thought the main camera, the center ice camera that was following the play was just too low.
Yeah, it did. It felt a bit too low.
Because when the players were up against the near boards, you really only saw them from the armpits up. And the rink, therefore, had a very shallow kind of look to it. So
yeah, you really lost the sight of the puck a lot more because of the shallowness and the close side boards there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or half wall, as all of these announcers are calling it now.
Yeah, that's
By the way, the wall's never been higher, and it's not a wall.
Yeah,
it's
not
the
a
boards.
Wall. And they never cut it in half from its original height.
Whoever started that, needs to
it's a disease that has infected sports broadcasters from coast to coast.
Absolutely.
And it would be great to eradicate that infection.
Yes,
and just call it the boards like they should be called.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone on that rant before. Remember, you and I just, not on air, but we talked a couple of days ago about the Montreal-Toronto tandem hosting for the World Juniors back a few years back.
Yes, Montreal and Toronto.
Yeah, and how expensive the tickets were. Because I think we talked about it in the context of seeing a lot of empty seats in the arena this time in Buffalo. And they're actually using two arenas, by the way. The main... whatever it's called, Key Bank. That's for the bigger games. But when it's Belarus playing Switzerland or whatever, they do have another facility that seats around 2,000 that they're playing those games in. A few of them. So some of the attendance you're going to see if you look at them all is 1,700, 1,800. Well, that's in the smaller arena. They can't get more than 2,000 in there anyway. But the packages for the games, if you wanted the cheapest universal package.
And this gives you a ticket to all the games?
Right.
Okay.
$650.
That's pretty expensive.
That's pretty expensive for the cheapest one. The most expensive one was $1,550. So if you wanted good seats in all the games, it's going to be over $1,500 American.
Could you buy the games individually?
Oh yeah, you can. And like the last night's game between Canada and Denmark The seat prices at the box office were between 30 and 110.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but it's a lot of money for junior hockey.
It is a lot of money for junior hockey, but
The European games were $10 at the box office. If it's a game between two European teams, now maybe not, like Czechoslovak, would be maybe different, but if it's Switzerland, Belarus, $10 at the box office, $6 on StubHub.
see, that's ridiculous because that's half the price of the Charlottetown Islanders ticket.
Yeah.
No offense to the Charlottetown Islanders, but I would much rather watch Belarus and Switzerland play than the Charlottetown Islanders play the friggin' Valdor whatever's.
Yeah. Foreurs.
Yeah.
The Valdor Foreurs. The gold medal game right now, the best seats are going for 2.25. But no one knows who's going to be in the gold medal game, right? So it's a bit of a gamble.
I guess you're paying for the experience.
Sure. I think if I had, I don't know, 2.25, that's about $300 Canadian. I don't think I'd have that money right now to put that into one hockey game.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't pay that.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing: Buffalo-based journalists who are around the arena a lot, they say that the concessions are charging between 50 cents and $1 more for everything compared to a Sabres game.
It's all about money, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Currently, Canada is in the lead of Group A with 10 points. They have 3 wins and an overtime or a shootout loss. Finland, USA, Slovakia, and Denmark all play their 4th games today. Canada's done the round robin.
Right.
Canada's into the semis or the quarterfinals on Tuesday. So everyone else has to play their remaining games. On the other side, over in Group B, the Swedes are ahead with they're 3-0-0 with 9 points. Czechs and the Russians are next with 2-0-1 records at 6 points. Switzerland has 1 victory; they're 1-0-2, and Belarus is 0-0-4. And they're the only team on that side that have played 4 games. So the Swedes, Czechs, Russians, and Swiss all play their last game today as well.
I've been really impressed by that Slovakia team, specifically their goalie, Durny, is it?
Yeah.
D-U-R-N-Y?
Yeah, it sounds like they're calling him Dirty.
Dirty, yeah.
In the play-by-play, but his name is Dirty. Yeah.
When we were watching the game, I made the joke that I wonder if he was drafted by the LA Kings. This was before we knew his name was Dirty. We actually thought it was Dirty. And I thought it would be funny to have a goalie tandem of Quick and Dirty.
That was well done.
But it turns out his name's Dirty. So.
Yeah, Dirty, and he was amazing. That Slovak U.S. game was really good.
That Slovak team's really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a lot of talent on there. Unless you have anything else to say about that specific game or any other IIHF stuff, I will move on.
Just a couple on the schedule. By the time you hear this podcast, the games will have ended. But USA plays Finland today, and it's Slovakia versus Denmark. And Switzerland plays the Czechs, and Russia and the Swedes play. That'll be a really good game over in Group B. The quarterfinals are on Tuesday, the semis on Thursday, and the bronze and final games are on Friday night. That's different. That's different. And I'm glad. I'd rather have them on a Friday night and get them over. And let the kids get home.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised they're dragging it out that far.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they'd be dragged out. I think when they had them in Europe, sometimes you'd see the final would be like on a Monday afternoon or something crazy like that. That was nuts.
Makes sense for them. Sucks for us.
Yeah, right. It's all about us.
Yeah, exactly. We're selfish.
Yeah, so I'm good. Go ahead.
All right. Transitioning over to the NHL, the first thing I want to talk about is a player that I'm not actually very fond of. Chris Kreider. He's out at least 2 months with a blood clot.
Ooh.
You didn't know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, he's out at least 2 months with a blood clot. I think it's in his arm. And as much as I despise Chris Kreider, he's an incredibly important part of the Rangers organization and their team and what they bring to every single game every night. He's 4th in points on the team, so missing that 22 points or whatever he has for at least 2 months, that's huge. 2 months is a vast majority of the NHL season.
Well, what's left of it?
Yeah, and exactly what's left of it. So that's a big loss for the Rangers. And like I said, I don't like the guy. I don't like his play on the ice, I guess I should say. But you never want to see anyone have a serious something like that because that's big. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. So hopefully Chris Kreider gets well soon. And I just wanted to mention real quick, I do have a New York Rangers video coming very soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Good or bad? Ugly?
Oh, good. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm just waiting for some stuff. It looks like you got something to say.
No, I'm just going to tee up the standings for later in case we talk about it.
Okay. Transitioning over to Montreal, did you know that Montreal is shopping Max Pacioretty actively?
I did.
Yeah. So here's a quote: if no suitable deal is available by the trade deadline, Bergevin could wait until the draft or next season. Kipper said that. Kiprios.
He's very attractive, and I was going to run a stat by you, but I guess I've ruined the trivia.
Oh.
But of the last 5 full-length seasons, so not counting the lockout season, of the last 5 seasons, only 2 players have scored 30 goals or more, and one of them is Alexander Ovechkin. And the other is?
Max Pacioretty.
Correct. And that's, and I understand. It's not about what you did before. It's about what you're going to do. When you're talking about looking at a player. But he's only a $4.5 million cap hit right now, and he's got 1 year left before he's in a UFA.
And we discussed this last podcast. I think the thing about Pacioretty is that he's an incredible player when that's all he has to worry about. This whole captain thing is really affecting him, I think, emotionally, and his confidence and everything. Every loss, he takes the full blame for it. He's got too big of a heart, and he takes it. He takes all of the blame on himself, and I think it's really affecting his confidence on the ice because he feels responsible for every single fault that the team has, regardless if he's to blame or not. So it's just a guy with a big heart and. Maybe just having some confidence issues, but
yeah, I think it's got to be mental. Like physically, I think he's fine. He seems to be able to do everything he wants to do.
Yeah,
and I would have thought that when he was run, I was trying to say run or ridden. I guess it's rudden. When he was rudden into the stanchion by Chara that time, I thought maybe that would make him a more cautious player. But really, after that injury, once he recovered, he was fine.
Oh yeah, totally.
And he's been fine since. So it can't be that.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Yeah.
And Montreal in general is on a 4-game losing streak. Do you know the next team with the worst losing streak right now in the NHL?
I don't.
It's Tampa Bay.
And that's what, only 2 games or something probably? Isn't
1.
What?
Yeah.
You mean there's no team other than Montreal who's lost more than 1 in a row?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It's insane. Like that's how bad Montreal is right now.
What about Ottawa? They're
no.
Oh, that's right. They had some kind of crazy win against New York or something.
Yeah.
But then they lost badly last night.
But Tampa Bay is the next team with the worst losing streak, and Tampa Bay is the best team in the league.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really frustrating.
This is this week and next, when all the teams will have played their 41st game. Halfway. Only one team right now has played all 41 games.
Oh, man.
The rest are in the high 30s or they played 40, but only one team has 41 right now.
Are they in the West?
They are.
Is it St. Louis?
It is.
Oh, really?
What's going on?
Boom.
Man. And you know how many points they have?
Don't do this to me. 52?
They have 50. Pretty close.
Dang.
You just talk too much.
Yeah.
So they're on pace. It's easy to figure out who's on pace for what when they played 41 games. You just times 2. So they're on pace for 100 points. And I actually thought it should be higher based on how they're playing.
Yeah.
But they're playing very well, and they're doing great. But most of the other teams have played anywhere between 36 and 40 games.
I think Washington, everybody's going on about how Washington's first in the Metro right now because they've got, I think, 1 more point than New Jersey, or they've tied them or something, and I can't remember. But Washington has played 2 more games than I think anyone else in the Metro right now.
Yeah, that's right.
In the playoff picture.
Pretty well.
Could be wrong there.
Columbus has played 39.
Okay, so
and
one more.
Washington's, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Most everybody else has played 38. Pittsburgh now has played 39.
Yeah. So
Montreal's played 39, which is no help.
But speaking of Montreal again, Montreal's top point getter is the lowest of any top point getter on a team. I think I mentioned this last podcast. Yeah. Arizona specifically has 2 players with more points than the leader on Montreal, and Arizona is garbage right now.
Yeah.
No offense, Coyotes fans. Gallagher has 21 points. That's the most points by a Canadiens player.
That's like setting a record for the lowest high temperature, which I think we almost did last week here.
Yeah.
The lowest high, which kind of sounds stupid, but it didn't get above whatever. And that's the worst it's ever been.
Do you know who had the most points in the Canadians last week when we discussed this? And how many points they had?
I don't.
It was Deneau with 21. The same
Right.
amount of points, but there's a tiebreaker because of goals now.
Oh,
It was Gallagher.
Ah,
So
neat. Jeez.
it's sad. Pittsburgh. Ian Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I made a video saying that it looked to be done that Ian Cole was going to be traded. Just after that, or the same day, it was announced that Letang was injured again.
Mm-hmm.
And that really stopped that in the tracks, that Cole trade. So the Cole trade didn't go through because of the Letang injury. And they just need Cole on the back end right now. So
Mm-hmm.
they had to keep him.
Yeah, and Letang, do we know how long?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's simple,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's like overly complicated. I forget what it was, but
Whether it's Kreider, Letang, or anyone else who's not on my team, I never want to see someone hurt. But I was worried that Montreal might make a play for Letang, and if
I
this
hope
makes that less likely, then that's not the worst thing for Montreal.
prior to last year's playoffs, Chris Letang had missed 190 games in his career. 190 games.
Wow.
That's crazy. Like one of the most talented defensemen in the league. One of the nicest guys on and off the ice.
That's more games than Ronaldo has been suspended for.
Not by much.
Yeah.
It's I really like Letang, but I'm sorry I don't want you on my Canadians team, even though you're from Montreal, I believe. You're too injury prone. So
Yeah, he's too delicate. Sorry.
let's talk some streaks. Now we've already talked about the losing streak. I usually I talk about any team that has more than 2 losses, and any team that has more than 2 wins. So my winning streak, Vegas is at 6. Seems like every week that Vegas is at the top of the winning streak. I don't understand. They win 6 and they lose 1. They win 6.
They have 52 points now on only 36 games.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
It is. It's nuts. It's just nuts. It's great.
Unbelievable.
And they're playing today. They're hosting the Leafs today. And I can't wait.
It's an afternoon game.
Yeah, it's an afternoon game. It's being held at 4:30 Atlantic, 3:30 Eastern, so I guess like early afternoon Pacific.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see Austin Matthews in there, and I don't know who they're going to start in goal. Whether it's
I don't know.
I'm not sure. And this is totally a slightly different topic, but it won't take me long to say it. When I talk about the scores from last night, there was a game I think between New Jersey. Who was it? It was New Jersey and Washington. In Washington, and New Jersey played the night before. And we talked off air about how dissatisfied we are with these back-to-back games. I think it was Pittsburgh you were telling me has like 18.
Someone wrote in to me and said they've got 19 back-to-back games, and I'm going to make a video about it coming up.
Because just really quickly here, is that fair to New Jersey for them to play the night before and then go into Washington, and they got beat 5-2? We'll talk about the game briefly later, but I don't like it when teams play back-to-back games, but I especially don't like it when they play back-to-back games where the second game is against a team who is not playing a back-to-back.
I agree.
Game.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry, back to your...
No, I agree totally.
Yeah.
Do you know who has the next most wins or winning streak? Amount of winnings? Man, English is hard for me. You know what I mean.
Yeah, the English is weak in this one.
Yeah.
We saw Star Wars. So 6 is Vegas. Who's next? Some crazy run. I forget who it is, but there's some. Is it Vancouver or something or
Florida?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was close.
5 games.
I was close. Luongo played for both teams. 5 games. That's amazing.
Yeah, Reimer's actually playing really, really well.
Reimer has. I actually knew that stat because wrote it down,
Good
but
job.
I forgot him. Yeah, really good. Reimer in his last 3 games has 2 shutouts.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. Yeah. And they're on a 5-game winning streak. It's plausible that they could make a run and get into playoffs. They're not that far behind. That's weird to say. I didn't pencil them in to make the playoffs this year, but
yeah, maybe all those metrics are going to work out after all.
yeah, maybe. I still don't think they're going to make it though.
No, I don't think so.
Next, San Jose with 3, Washington with 2, and Winnipeg with 2. Over on the losses, we've already talked about that. Montreal was 4. Look at the list. It's empty. It's just Montreal in there. Sad. Milestones. We always talk about milestones. Patrick Kane has 790 points, so he's almost at 800 points already in his career. Pretty crazy indeed. Another milestone. Post to Post Twitter turns 1 today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, officially. See, the Post to Post YouTube channel technically turns 1 December 14th, I think.
When you actually registered the site.
When I registered the account.
Right.
But I didn't upload a video until January 1st, I think it was.
Okay.
So technically the Post to Post YouTube channel has already had its birthday, but not really, because there was nothing on the channel there. There was no graphics, there was nothing. So tomorrow's the big birthday, and that's the big milestone for us. Yeah.
And you have shared with me a milestone video that you're making.
Yeah, so I'm going to release a video tomorrow. It's going to be, I need to film the intro for that, by the way, today. It's going to be just a mashup of a lot of bloopers, a lot of funny things, some general highlights and clips that I really liked, and then some stuff on more Post to Post, some funny stuff on there, and just some clips from my personal life, from vlogs that I've done in the summer and when I went to Toronto. Just kind of a highlight of what I've done this year on YouTube. 89% of it is Post to Post.
And what I like the best, well, not the best I like at all, but early on in the what you're planned to show, you talk about, you show yourself sitting at your position as it then was, and you're talking about what your hope is for the channel in the next year by 2018.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of all of it for me. To see, and then you flash to what's actually happened. You know, you're hoping for 500 subscribers, and then you show what's really happening. And
I've got screenshots from the subscriber ladder, I guess,
that's
throughout the year.
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, so that's coming tomorrow. I need to still do quite a bit of editing on it, but yeah, that's all the milestones actually right now that I have to discuss. Keeping with the channel, we did an NHL logo redesign contest. I assume probably most or not all or all of you have seen it. It's got quite a bit of views, luckily. And we have, I know a lot of people have seen this already, but we have a correction to make. And the Predators logo that came second has since been disqualified. It was 100% completely copied from a minor league team. And the same person entered like 6 other logos, all copied from the same league, that same minor league team. I searched it online. I searched 30 minutes for that Predators logo because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't copied because I knew it was going to come second.
It's safe to say you put the entire research department of Post to Post dedicated to this. I did. But you can't get everything.
I can't get everything. And it's really frustrating because that person, I don't want to say bragged about it in the comments, but was very proud about it, and then got called out in the comments by other people after they saw my pinned comment saying it was disqualified, and then they continued to say that they didn't copy it when they did. So I don't know if they're delusional or just in denial, but you copied it. If you're listening, I'm not trying to call you out or being rude or anything, but you broke the rules, and that's not okay. So
and almost succeeded.
Yes, almost succeeded.
Yeah,
it's frustrating. Glad that the voting didn't fall where they won. So, anyways, the 4th place logo, the Florida Panthers logo, has actually moved up into third place. The Vancouvers moved up into 2nd place. So, I've emailed those people and waiting to hear back on one. Once I hear back from that final person with their address and stuff, I'm going to ship everything out after that. So,
do you have the general geographical coordinates of Evan? I think it was
he told me, but I forget.
Okay.
I forget. I'm not even going to guess. I just I read the email quickly.
All right.
Your plane video has done quite well.
Holy smokes. I'm really impressed that people found it interesting. And it just dawned on me one day last week saying, I do it all the time. Wonder if other people wouldn't mind.
Well, like before I released the video, I think I said in Discord, I'm about to release a video that's a little dry. And it's not dry to me because I love that stuff too. I love aviation and planes and everything. So I didn't find it dry, but I could completely see how someone else would find that uninteresting or dry or just boring, I guess. But that wasn't the case. Everybody seemed to love it.
That's neat.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing because I don't think anyone would even think to talk about something like that. So
Mhm.
it's you get full marks for this one. That's
Yeah.
you get all the credit for
For those of you on the listening on the podcast who maybe didn't see that, we did a video about 22 minutes long, and I had done some research on which planes and which flight numbers are used by NHL teams when they go from place to place, and how to follow them, how to track them, how to find out when they're leaving, when they're arriving, and it sparked an interesting round of comments as well. Another person made a very good suggestion, like, wouldn't it be neat if we could find out what hotels they stay at?
I think we should do that video.
And for autograph seekers, not so much for, stalkers and things, but for autograph seekers, they know, because when you see video of players all coming out of a hotel, and there's people standing out there with their shirts and jerseys and things they want to get signed, so they found out. Now, I've seen NHL teams in hotels.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's a theme or not. I mentioned in the comments, I've seen the New Jersey Devils. I was down in the lobby with all the Devils in Edmonton one time. Larry Robinson was still with the team then, and Marty Brodeur was right beside me, and I didn't interfere with them. I didn't talk to them, but I knew who they were, but I didn't let on. I was trying to play it cool, and they were waiting for their bus to show up.
You didn't want a fanboy.
Yeah. Ooh. Now, if it was the Canadians, it might be different.
Yeah.
And then later on in a Vancouver visit that I was doing on behalf of work, I was out for a walk, and I was down by the Westin Hotel, and sure enough, there was sorry, it wasn't Vancouver, it was Calgary, the Westin in Calgary, and I've seen a couple of teams at the Westin in Calgary. I've not stayed there myself, but it's on my walking route when I try to blow off some steam, and I saw a bus there and all these NHL players getting on. I forget what team it was. It was the Rangers or someone I knew, the Rangers or Detroit or someone I recognized.
Yeah.
Quite a few of the players. And now they were both at Westin. So I don't know if Westin is a theme to that or whether it's, maybe the whole league has a deal.
Could be.
Maybe the home team has a deal with the visiting team staying in a certain place all the time so they can bug the rooms. I don't know.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I don't know. Just for fun, for tomorrow's games, the games that are happening, well, actually today's games, but the games that are today, I have all the flight numbers for the teams as to how they got to those
Sure.
games. So, I'll get to that later.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, today's schedule has Toronto at Vegas, and they flew to Las Vegas in Air Canada 7046. Arizona is at Anaheim. They're playing at 4 o'clock Eastern today, 1 o'clock Pacific, and they flew on Perimeter, their PMM 758, and they went to Long Beach Airport.
Is that a charter plane?
Yeah, it's a charter. Yeah. These are all going to be charters. Tampa Bay is in Columbus. They flew on Air Miami 395 Biscayne from Tampa to Columbus. Pittsburgh is at Detroit. They went to Detroit Metro Wayne Airport rather than there's two airports that serve Detroit, so they were using Metro Wayne, which is probably less congested traffic-wise on the ground. Winnipeg is in Edmonton. They flew on Air Canada 7018 yesterday to get there. San Jose is in Dallas today. They flew on Kaiser 525 from San Jose to Dallas yesterday. New York Islanders are in Colorado, and they flew on Swift Air 2631 on Friday night. And Chicago is in Calgary, but their last game was in Edmonton, so Chicago actually flew from Edmonton to Calgary on Friday night on Swift Air 2542.
Ah.
Yeah. So, and now Chicago's going to play the Rangers next on Wednesday. So the key will be, if you're following the Chicago Blackhawks, the Swift Air 2542, go back to Chicago from Calgary for a couple of days, or does it go from Calgary directly to New York metropolitan area somewhere, one of those airports, for the flight on Wednesday? They'll probably fly maybe tonight or tomorrow.
I assume they'll go home.
I think they might go home, but we'll be able to find out by following that Swift Air flight. So if you see a Swift Air departure out of Calgary late this evening,
Yeah.
and just find out where it's going. There's only going to be one Swift Air flight leaving Calgary tonight, because
Great, there you
Swift
go.
Air doesn't serve Calgary except for hockey.
Yeah, there you go.
So who knows? Who knows?
Good info. Thanks for sharing that. What else is on my list? Carolina Hurricanes, 7-3-0 in the last 10 games. They're really coming on here. You know that they're 1 point out of a playoff spot?
I didn't.
I love it. I love it.
You love that I didn't know it, or you love that it's happening?
I love that it's happening because that's what I predicted, and what I predicted never happens. So I hope they sneak into a playoff spot. As much as I like the Islanders and even have started to like the Rangers recently, I would really love to see the Carolina Hurricanes leapfrog one of them, or both of them, or the entire Metro Division go straight to the top. That'd be awesome. Not going to happen, but it'd be fun.
You never know.
Eddie Lack got traded.
Yes.
Eddie Lack has played for Vancouver. Eddie Lack has played for Carolina, Calgary, now New Jersey. I don't know if he played it for anyone before Vancouver. I can't remember.
I don't know.
What's wrong with Eddie Lack?
Something's lacking.
Oh, nice.
I have no idea. Or is it maybe something's right with Eddie Lack?
I don't know. He's very inconsistent.
Like for every trade, there has to be a giver and a receiver. If for Eddie Lack to be traded, someone has to want him, and people have wanted him. So
no, New Jersey didn't give him anything. Calgary just said you can have him.
I think New Jersey had no. There was a player in return.
Yeah, no, I'm just making a joke.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Dalton Prout.
I was taking you seriously.
Yeah, no, Dalton Prout went the other way. I don't know who's going to win that trade. I don't understand that trade, but whatever. Winter Classic.
Yeah.
How excited are you for the Winter Classic tomorrow?
Not very.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit excited because I like the jerseys. I like the New York Rangers jerseys. I'm sorry, Buffalo. You had beautiful jerseys in your previous outdoor game. Have you seen the Rangers jerseys that they're going to wear?
No, I haven't.
They're really special.
Are they?
Yeah, they're really, really special.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited, I guess, is a word I wouldn't use. I'm looking forward to the game because it's New Year's Day. I have a day off, and I can watch hockey in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that.
Any day you can watch hockey in the afternoon is a good day.
It's a perfect day. So yeah, I'll be happy. But I'm not, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to get merch.
Well, let me spark your interest with the musical appearance that's going to be happening there.
Oh.
You're going to be so excited when I tell you.
I am, because I don't know.
The Goo Goo Dolls.
You gotta be kidding. That's it? That's the...
Yeah, they're from Buffalo. I think that's why. But yeah, the Goo Goo Dolls. I'm so excited. Said no one ever. Yeah, no,
I thought you were going to give me Springsteen or...
I'm kind of just kidding. I actually don't mind the Goo Goo Dolls. But I wasn't kidding about not being excited to see them. I'm not excited to see the Goo Goo Dolls. In fact, I'm not excited to see any musician at any outdoor game because I don't really care about music that much at sporting events. So cut the music for me. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I won't be glued to the TV if it's, second intermission or first intermission. Or shall we say intermission number 1 or intermission number 2.
Yeah, no one says first intermission or first period, second period. No one says it anymore. It's period number 2.
And I have more rants on that here shortly.
We're going to have to make another rant video for you to go.
I can't wait. I have rant buildup syndrome right now.
Yeah.
I need to de-rant.
All-Star Game. How excited are you for that?
Absolutely not at all.
January 28th. It's coming up soon.
Good. I'll book a hair appointment that day or something.
Book a hair appointment.
The only thing I liked about the new format is that it's all 3-on-3, isn't it now?
Yeah.
So I guess that's fun to watch because it's a skill thing. But it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's a break for no reason, and I hate it. Now, in the old days, when the All-Star Game first happened, I think it was to try to raise money for Ace Bailey after he was whacked by the Bruins. It was the Stanley Cup defending champion against the rest of the best players in the league. I like that as an All-Star.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I still like that idea. But picking these, having fan votes and all this crap is just...
I hate that part of it. I despise that part of it. But I actually do enjoy the All-Star Game. I think it's really unique and fun to see some of your favorite players really loosen up and just laugh and kind of forget about the seriousness of the regular season and maybe just the world in general and just have some fun with the rest of the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that part of it. It's a lot about production and less about that, and that's what's frustrating.
Yeah, if I have to pick one of 2 days of All-Star Weekend, it's the night before. It's the skills comp that I probably have more enjoyment out of.
Yeah.
Watching them do their, skating around the pylons and the hardest shot and all that. I like that.
Do you remember a couple of years ago when they had a draft? So each team had its captain, and they did the draft.
And the last guy got a car or something, right? Like the last pick guy as a consolation prize. I think he got a car.
It's like Phil Kessel or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
should have got a burger.
I thought that was so funny. That was hilarious because Drew Doughty was one of the captains, and I think he had some co-captains. So they were trying to get him to make decisions, and he was talking and making laughing and stuff. He wasn't even paying attention. God, it was funny. I loved it. It was amazing. I wish they'd do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will be watching the All-Star game, just in case anyone's wondering.
Okay. I'll probably end up watching it too, just because it's now part of my job.
That's right, yeah. Spengler Cup, that's part of your job too.
Yeah, it is. Spengler Cup, Canada.
We talked about that a little bit.
It's over now.
Yeah.
Do you know how it ended?
Oh, no, I don't. But I know it's recorded, so.
So, is it going to be a spoiler if we talk about it?
Yeah, don't tell me.
Well, by the time people hear this, it'll be...
Well,
Okay.
Fine, tell me.
I won't tell you the result, but I
What?
can tell you about... Well, no, I guess I can't talk about...
Well,
If I can't disclose the result, I'm everything I talk about here is linked to plays in the game and stuff. So
Well, I got stuff to talk about.
okay, you go ahead.
Maybe you can chime in.
All right.
I've really had a lot of fun watching teams from other leagues, like HBK, Mountfield, Dinamo Riga, Davos.
Hamelina in Finland.
Seeing these other teams from these other leagues around the world, it's really cool because you get to see players that you've never heard of, names that you will never pronounce in your life because they're so difficult. But it's really good hockey. I wish it got more attention because it's really special. So I really enjoyed watching the other teams from these leagues because before I had no idea who these teams were. Since this channel and going through the jerseys and the arenas and the logos, I was like, oh yeah, totally. I completely recognize those jerseys. That's HBK. They wear orange jerseys and their logo's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really good. The final game was played this morning at 7 o'clock local time here in Atlantic Canada, so 6 a.m. in the east. And unlike what Steve Cooley has said yesterday during one of the other games, not at 9 a.m. in Vancouver. It's 3 a.m. in Vancouver. You tool. And that's my main Spengler Cup thing was going to be a rant.
Oh.
I will say this much without getting into the score. Of the goals that were scored, the first 3 goals, and they're all important goals.
Okay.
When those goals were scored, the 2 announcers were not talking about the play.
Ooh, they have Paul Romanuk syndrome?
They had Paul Romanuk syndrome. During the first goal, the announcers were talking about the career of Willie Desjardins.
Oh, my God.
During the second goal, Coolius was talking about Craig Button.
Why would he be talking about Craig Button?
I don't know. I'd speculate, but I don't want to get sued. For the third goal, they were talking about the career history of Max Lapierre.
I noticed
the goal was happening on the ice at that moment, and all you heard was, score! And then, for that third goal, he didn't say who had scored, because guess what? He didn't know, because he wasn't watching the play. He says, scores, spinning and firing from the slot. That's an exact quote from Coolius. But he didn't know who the player was. He didn't say the player's name for another 30 seconds.
Wow.
The cameraman knew, and the cameraman was focused on the player.
That's unacceptable.
And Doug knew who it was because he could see the guy. Coolius had no clue. And it was pathetic. It was pathetic.
I have 2 things. I have 2 questions. Number 1, I actually do want to know the winner of the Switzerland Davos game. Can you tell me that?
Yeah, it was Switzerland.
Oh, darn. I was hoping Davos would win.
Yeah, so Switzerland ended up being in the final against Canada this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
The second thing I have to ask is something that I've already forgot about. Dang it. Oh, crap. Oh, Paul Romanuk. We need to talk about him.
We do need to talk about him.
Because he made the biggest mistake of his career for something that we were critical of him about for the past 2 months. This is something that we've complained about Paul Romanuk for. It's something that people have complained about us complaining about Paul Romanuk because they like him. But guess what? I'm not the kind of person to say I'm right and you're wrong. Like, look at me, I was right, but we were right. Paul Romanuk made a disastrously huge mistake the other day. I think it was the Toronto-Arizona game. He was talking, for whatever reason, I don't know, about the death of a person related to the hockey world. It was the father of a player or something like that. I can't remember. But he was talking about someone who was still alive. He had the name completely wrong, and I think he had the story wrong too. the details are escaping me. It's been a couple of days, but he made a huge mistake and was corrected by the family. And he had to apologize on air.
And it was a pretty poor apology.
Yeah.
He talks about, the famous quote, the statements about my death are premature and exaggerated or whatever. He tried to turn the beginning of the apology into another frigging joke.
Yeah.
And he's not good at that either.
I'm just so sick of I'm done listening to him.
Yeah.
We made that decision 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. If he's calling a Montreal game, we're going to watch the French channel.
Yeah.
Period. Absolutely, period. I'm done with him. I'm just done.
Yeah.
And, I hate to sit back in my little ivory tower here and say when people should be fired. And I'm really, I hope, liberal about giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But in this case, that is a termination offense, in my view.
I think so too. Like, our main criticism about him was that he would not talk about hockey. He would not talk about hockey or the game that's going on the ice. He was going on rants and on all this other stuff and what he had for breakfast with Ray Ferraro, whoever the hell he's with, and like he spent so much time not talking about the game that there was no sense of even listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
It was ridiculous. And then he goes and does this, like he's not talking about the game on some rant about someone dying, and makes this mistake. Serves you right, bud.
Yeah, like if he had focused on the play-by-play, and I believe that's his job, is play-by-play announcer, and the other guy's color commentator.
Exactly.
So if anyone wants to chime in with other little tidbits and anecdotes to help fill in moments of the game, that's the color guy's job.
Yeah.
The play-by-play guy should just stick to what's happening on the ice, and had Romanek stuck to what was happening on the ice, this never would have happened, because nobody died on the ice.
Yeah. And we're not necessarily in a position where we can judge him, because we are nobodies. We're monkeys. But that's his job. He gets paid to do that. We do not. We make mistakes all the time, too.
Oh, yeah.
But
who's going to fire us?
We're allowed, yeah. Who's going to fire us?
YouTube might fire us.
But that's his job.
They can't demonetize us.
Yeah, we're already demonetized. Paul Romanek needs to be better. He must be better. And he needs to release an additional meaningful apology, in my opinion.
And I think he needs to either take or be given time off.
Yeah, I think so too.
To think about, and that time off should be spent watching maybe 2 months of his own archives, followed by 2 months of Mike Emmerich.
Absolutely.
And the other broadcasters who know what they're doing and can call a game properly.
We listened to Gord Miller for the IIHF games, and we have our criticism about Gord Stats Miller.
Miller, yeah.
He really can call a game pretty well.
He can call a game.
He knows his stuff.
He really does. And Gordon Miller does not have any annoyance factors to him. Like, there's nothing about him. He doesn't have these weird turns of phrase.
Like Steve Coolius' yawning cage, and what was it? Apples and
cookies.
Apples and cookies.
I don't know what that was all about. And then he's a big victim of period number 1 and period number 2.
And is it John? It's not John Bartlett, is it? Or it is him that does
John
the gain the
Bartlett,
line.
Montreal, gain the line.
line.
Oh my God!
Every 7 seconds, gain the line.
If you're able to get the Montreal Canadiens regional broadcast, if you're in the East, watching on regular TV in Canada, or if you're on NHL Center Ice or whatever they call that package now, and can watch the Montreal feed, I encourage you to do so. And if you're a drinker, you can have a drinking game.
Oh, totally.
Every time John Bartlett says gains the line, you got to take a swig. And if you're still halfway sober, if you can even walk after two periods, something's wrong.
And I actually really like him. Other than that,
yeah, that's
the only thing that bugs me about him.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's great.
I think what I'd like to do is hook him up with one of those shock collars that you put on a dog. Okay. And sit behind him. And every time he says gains the line, just give that little trigger a thing, and that'll jolt him.
Turn it up every notch.
Yeah, and that'll cure it. Like probably a couple of games, and that won't happen anymore because he'll be worried about getting the shock in the neck.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's the way to cure that.
See, I started a Spengler Cup conversation. Look where it went.
Look at that.
We wasted all kinds of time.
And I'm still unable to talk about the Spengler Cup. I thoroughly enjoyed the game. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Upcoming, I'm almost done, so we can transition to your stuff soon. Upcoming videos in the next 2 weeks on Post to Post, and just in general on more Post to Post. Los Angeles Kings, New York Rangers, Carolina Hurricanes, Washington Capitals, Tampa Bay Lightning, Montreal, because you have a jersey coming.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Ho,
that.
ho,
Your first,
ho.
you already have a Canadiens jersey in your collection,
I do.
but
It's not wearable.
it's not wearable, so it's not technically part of your collection.
No, it's too
It's too
valuable, right?
yeah valuable and
It's signed by the entire team in
sentimental.
2012. Oh, hugely sentimental. Yeah.
So you're getting your first jersey in your collection,
My
which is
first
probably
wearable. My first wearable.
yeah, it's probably gonna be your only jersey in your collection. But
Yeah,
unless you plan on collecting other jerseys, I don't think you do.
No, I don't.
If you do, I think they'd all be Montreal Canadiens.
Absolutely.
Different renditions of Montreal Canadiens jerseys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I might, you might sneak me into a Maroons jersey, but that's pushing.
Yeah, that'd be cool. St. Louis, Chicago,
Mhm.
the EIHL, because there was a big
Oh,
controversy
yeah.
out of there.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the IIHF again, and more specifically about the prospects and what they mean to each of their teams they've been drafted by. So
Mhm.
we're going to go through them team by team, tell you what your team or what players in the World Junior Tournament has been drafted by your team, how well they're doing, stuff like that. We're going to wait until the end of the competition, I think, to do that video because we want to have all the stats and stuff.
Yeah. So maybe next podcast we might even
Yeah.
have it by then, but then we'll have a video about it.
Yeah.
And also, I hope that we include a few players that aren't drafted because they're not draft age yet,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
and where they might fall.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Swiss jerseys, ECHL arenas, NCHC logos, and IHL logos.
Mhm.
How I make my videos part 2, which is the editing stage.
Oh, cool.
On More Post to Post, we've got a NASCAR video coming, a basketball video, and a Star Wars review, which we have not filmed yet, which we need to film
We do.
probably soon.
Yeah.
Because, while it's fresh.
While it's fresh.
Yeah.
While it's fresh and still steaming.
Now, the last thing I want to do is a little something different for the podcast. It's going to take me a little bit to go through everything, but I think it's important. I want to go through the injuries in the entire National Hockey League by team. And I'm not going to say what the injury they have. I'm just going to go team and then names to give you an idea of how many injuries there are in the NHL right now.
Okay.
Toronto, Soshnikov, Zaitsev. Chicago, Anisimov, Crawford. Minnesota, Parise. St. Louis, Schwartz, Fabry, Sanford. Boston, McQuaid. Vancouver, Horvat, Sutter, Berche, Tanev. Pittsburgh, Rust, Letang, Schultz. Dallas, Mathot. Ottawa, Smith, Dumont, Borowiecki, Weidman, MacArthur. Islanders, Kuhlman, Boychuk, Hickey. Tampa Bay Lightning, Callahan and Budai. Rangers, Kreider. Calgary, Versteeg. Nashville, Forsberg and Ellis. Philadelphia, Stolars. Los Angeles, Carter, Folan. Anaheim, Perry, Eves, and Linebass, I think his name is. I'm not familiar with that player. Columbus, Dubinsky, Wenberg, Atkinson, Murray. San Jose, Goudreau. Buffalo, Fedden. Winnipeg, Scheifele, Tanev, Bufflin, Enstrom. Montreal, Hemsky, Weber, Montoya. Florida, Luongo. Las Vegas, just Vegas. Clarkson, Grabowski, Carrier, Spiza, Stoner, Dansk, Duke.
Man, they must be
Wow.
tanking.
Yeah, they must be doing terrible.
Yeah.
New Jersey, Klo, Mueller. Colorado, Kamenev, Barry. Carolina, Stemniak. Arizona, Boland, Richardson, and Yarmelson, or Charmelson, as you say. Detroit, Franzen.
Wow.
What team didn't I mention? I think there's like 3 teams I didn't mention, maybe
Oh,
2, but
good
there's definitely
grief.
one team I didn't mention.
St. Louis?
Nope, they've got Fabry, Schwartz,
I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention.
Edmonton.
Oh, wow.
No injuries on Edmonton right now.
Really?
And these are the injuries submitted Friday morning by the league. So, like Kreider wasn't submitted by them, but I've added them in.
Mhm.
There are some others I think that are missing from this list. I've got a sneeze for the first time in post-to-post history. I've never sneezed in a video or podcast. Oh, now it's gone.
All that anticipation, then you let me down.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Spoiler alert, there is a blooper coming in the blooper video of you sneezing.
Oh, great.
You've already seen it. You saw it last night.
I know, but are you really going to put it in?
Absolutely.
All right.
That's all I've got. So what's on your list?
Not much left. I've already talked about my things, or I'm not allowed to because you haven't seen the Spengler Cup game yet. So I was just going to quickly run down some of this last night's results and how things went. I don't know if you saw any highlights from last night.
To be honest, I did not watch 1 second of hockey last night.
Washington beat the Devils 5-2, and coming down to it now, the Devils played the night before and Washington did not.
Yeah.
I think that's an imbalance that shouldn't happen. If teams are playing back-to-backs and homes or something like that, that's fine. They're both in the same boat. But if one team has played last night and the other team's had a couple of days off, I don't think that's right. Anyway, Washington beat New Jersey 5-2. Schneider was in net for the Devils. The second and fourth goals were beauties. They were tick-tack, smack.
Typical Washington.
Typical
goals.
Washington. They were absolutely gorgeous. Ovechkin was involved in both, but he wasn't the scorer in either one of them. But they were fabulous goals. So if you do watch the highlights, look for the second goal and the fourth goal in that 5-3 or 5-2 win. Just amazing.
Okay.
Nashville shut out Minnesota 3-0. And it was UC Saros who got the shutout.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, it wasn't Rennie.
One of the best backups in the league.
Yeah, and that game, nothing happened till the third period. It was scoreless after one, scoreless after two, and then she all broke out in the third. Hartnell, Subban, and Arvidsson scored for Nashville there. So
cool.
Saros, in his last 8 games, he has a .955 save percentage. That's pretty stout.
That's .955.
That's really good.
Are you asking me any trivia, by the way? At the end of this?
I wasn't gonna. Oh, yeah, well, I have a trivia question at the bottom, but we already talked about it.
Oh, usually you ask me who I think is the top in each.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Whatever.
I'll do that.
Because I didn't look at it purposefully.
Oh, cool. Okay, well then I changed my answer. I do have trivia for you later on. We talked about it briefly before. Florida beat Montreal to extend its winning streak to 5 games now. Yeah, Florida 5 games winning streak. And I watched the highlights of that game. I didn't watch the game. I'm not involved, as much. I got the hat on, but I'm really not engaged right now with watching the Canadians because I don't need the grief and the anger.
It was the first game that I didn't watch of the Canadians this year because I knew they weren't going to win.
Yeah, and I would rather not watch the game and find out that they somehow snuck out a miracle, and then I'll go back and watch the game and see the miracle take place, than waste 3 hours of my life only to walk away unhappy again.
Yeah, I said this on Discord last night. If I wanted to watch people float around, I'd go watch Peter Pan. Because that's basically what the Canadians are doing right now, just floating around.
Wow. So Reimer got his second shutout in his last 3 games. Montreal's 4th straight loss. They've lost now to Edmonton, Tampa, Carolina, and Florida.
Yep. And
these aren't other than Tampa, these aren't teams that Montreal shouldn't be able to beat on a good day.
I agree.
So, Jeff Petrie and Jordy Ben were -2 in a 2-0 loss. So what does that tell you?
Tells me that Petrie is no better than he was in day one, which is not good at all.
Yeah.
I do not like Petrie.
Yeah.
Sorry, Petrie fans.
And he made a very bad defensive decision when Montreal was already trailing 1-0. He made a bad defensive decision. He basically pinched, but he didn't pinch at the blue line. He pinched at the red line, as the play was going back into Montreal zone. That left Ben by himself in a 2-on-1, and Ben was just useless. He fell down and tried to do a slide block, and they just passed. Price had no chance.
When I did my favorite players list last year, Weber was on that list, my top 15 favorite players. So you'd think that Weber was my favorite player on the Montreal Canadiens. That's changed. Ever since he's come to Montreal, I like him less. Probably because I'm overly critical. Jordy Ben is my favorite player on the Montreal Canadiens. That says quite a bit about the rest of the team.
Yeah. My favorite player right now is Delorier.
Oh, yeah.
And they scratched him last night.
What?
They didn't play him.
How do you not play him?
I don't know. If you're an idiot, you don't play him, I guess.
Well,
I'm really pissed.
I guess I'm not surprised.
Yeah. They scratched Delorier. Like, are you kidding me? He's the one guy who's, he's a banger, and he's bringing it. And he's not a score sheet guy, but he's a presence guy.
Totally.
And
he's a 110% energy guy.
Yeah, we needed that presence, and it wasn't there because he was watching from upstairs, and that's just a travesty, if you ask me. I've really enjoyed watching him play the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, me too.
He's been amazing. Pardon me. Despite Price's loss, 2-0, when you let in 2 goals and your Carey Price, who's had a bad start in the season, your numbers all improve.
I guess so.
His goals against average went down, and his save percentage went up.
Amazing.
Which is just crazy. Boston beat Ottawa 5-0. Only the second shutout for Tuukka Rask this year. I thought he'd have more than that, but he's only got 2. But still, nothing to sneeze at. 3 power play goals out of 4 opportunities for Boston. So Ottawa only took 4 penalties, but let in 3 power play goals. That's crazy. Spooner got 2. Bergeron got his 11th in that game. St. Louis beat Carolina 3-2. Scott Darling made some unbelievable saves. And I didn't mention this before, but Carey Price played a very good game in Florida. I don't think he could be blamed for either one of the goals that went in. So back to the Carolina game. Darling was amazing. But St. Louis beat them 3-2, and it was Carter Hutton in net for St. Louis.
He's been playing real well lately.
Really, yeah. And interestingly, St. Louis went up 1-0. Oh, no, let me back up. I think I might have... sorry. Pardon.
You all right?
I'm fine. I don't sound fine. Brodziak scored in the first minute of the first period, and Borglund scored in the first minute of the second period to get St. Louis that push. But then Carolina came back and tied it, and Upshaw scored for St. Louis in the third period to win it 3-2. But it was Carolina just had some bad starts. Bad first period, bad second period, and they got scored on within the first minute before they could, so something maybe not being said in the dressing room that should be said.
Could
before
be,
they go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but and they suffered. They lost the game maybe because of that. L.A. beat Vancouver 4-3 in the late game. Toffoli got his 17th, which is pretty good. But it was Markstrom was in goal for Vancouver. Took the loss quick. Got another win there. So now for trivia. To turn over my page here. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Who's leading the league in points as of this morning?
His name is escaping me. It's Stamkos' line mate.
Yeah.
Kucherov.
Yes.
God. I wanted to say Kuznetsov. I was like, it's not Kuznetsov.
I know. I get them mixed up a lot too.
Geez.
Yeah. Kucherov, you're correct. He's got 54 points, which is 5 more.
Oh, wow.
Than his chaser now, who is actually 2, Bailey and Tavares.
Oh,
they each have 49 points.
Did they leapfrog Stamkos?
They did. Stamkos is 1 point behind at 48.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you know who's next at 46 points? To round out the top 5?
Anders Lee?
No, Lee's on another stat, but not on points.
I don't know.
Claude Giroux.
Oh, I guess probably him and Voracek.
Maybe
are
so.
Close.
He's got 46 points. Like, where'd that come from? But anyway,
wow.
Good for him.
Yeah, definitely.
I like Claude Giroux.
Yeah,
I've always liked him. I don't like his, what emblem he's got on his chest, but I like him a lot. In goals, it's a 3-way tie now for the most goals.
Ovechkin.
Correct.
Stamkos.
Nope.
Oh. Anders Lee.
Yes.
I don't know the other one.
Kucherov.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's got that many goals.
Yeah,
Wow.
they've all got 24. And there's a 2-way tie for fourth place.
Why did I think it? Yeah.
John Tavares is one of them, tied for next with 21 goals. And who's tied?
I do not know.
Brock Besser.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Plus minus.
Uh-oh.
Strahlman, plus 24 still, which I think is where he was last week. And guess who's next?
Kucherov.
No.
I don't know.
He's been injured for a couple weeks now.
Oh, Jaden Schwartz.
Exactly. He got injured when he was plus 23, and he's still there.
That's
right?
amazing.
'Cause if you're not playing, you can't get any minuses. So in the goal, in the defensive side of things, in the goaltenders, who's leading in goals against average?
Oh, last week it was Aaron Dell.
Yep.
Due to the amazing play of Carter Hutton lately, I have to assume that he's finally leapfrogged him.
Well, and again, when I look at the stats on the ESPN website...
Oh, God. You use ESPN to get your stats?
Well, it's just where, it's the easiest link. I've been using it for a long time. But they might have different criteria for games played. I don't know how many games Carter Hutton's played.
Okay.
So maybe that's why he's not on here, but Dell is still on the list that I'm looking at 1.94. So his GAA has gone up, as it has to, because he's only human. But he's the only guy below 2 still.
Okay.
Next we have Vasilevsky with 2.08. Raska's after that with 2.13. Then Malcolm Subban, 2.18.
Nice.
And Jonathan Quick
Okay.
in fifth. Save percentage, it's also Arundel. So I won't drag this out too much.
All right.
Vasilevsky. Crawford is next with 9.29. So, and that's a number that won't change if he's injured, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and Luongo and Quick after that. So in wins.
I'm trying to think of teams that have overplayed their goalies because they don't have a good backup. Like Toronto with Anderson. Like Vasilevsky's probably have the most wins of everyone, but
That's
Anderson's got to be up there.
He is up there, yes.
I think maybe Connor Hellebuck is up there.
He's up there too, yeah.
Probably Pacioretty, even though Saros is pretty good, I think.
Yes, you're doing great. Have you looked at my list?
No, I haven't. I haven't looked at any of these.
You're doing good.
If I had, I would have gotten all those previous ones right.
You've just mentioned all the top 5 except one guy.
Oh no. So Anderson, Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, Rene. Quick.
He's down the list a bit, but
no, I don't know. I have no idea.
Braden Holtby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Vasilevsky has 24 wins, Holtby with 22. Anderson and Hellebuck are tied with 20, and Rene has 19. Bob and Quick and can't even read my own. Oh, Jake Allen's 18.
Okay.
I had Jake written there. Thinking, what's that?
Who's Jake?
Who's named Jake? That's what I call him. Jake Allen's 18. Bob and Vasilevsky are tied with shutouts.
Okay.
This season with 4 so far.
All right. Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, now it's special time that's unrelated to hockey in a way. It's time for the Fishbowl, which I announced a couple podcasts ago, and this is the portion where we have a fishbowl over here with USB drives, and each USB drive has one question on it. So you will reach in and grab a fish. Oops. You will reach in and grab a fish and haul it out, and then I'll plug it into the computer. You can see here, and then a question will pop up, and that's the one you want.
Okay, yeah, I guess so.
All right, well, let's roll the intro. Okay, yeah, me and Jason and I made that intro about 3 years ago when we tried to start a channel called The Fishbowl.
Wow.
But here, the question for today is there any part of your life that you didn't follow hockey at all?
So is that a question for you?
That's a question for you.
Oh, for me?
And me, I guess. This
Okay.
is from a fan.
Yes, I think there is. I think it's safe to say there is. When I left Montreal as a young man, the Canadians were right in the middle of their dynasty. So they won a few more Stanley Cups after I left, and I followed very closely.
Mm-hmm.
And I followed closely into the early 1980s in my university years, and then in my first couple of years as a family man, a married man with a job. My job at first, when I was at the radio station, was like midnight to 6 a.m. type shifts, and hockey was only on TV really one night a week, Saturday night. So I was usually unable to even watch if I wanted to. But I read the scores every night as part of my job. I'm doing the radio. I'm on the radio. I'm reading the news. I'm reading the weather, and I'm reading the sports. So I'm doing the hockey scores. So I'm following in a way.
Right.
But I left the radio business in 1985 and moved to a smaller community where we eventually raised you, and you were born the following year, and that was the second to last time Montreal won the Cup.
Right.
I watched that series quite closely. I loved every minute of that series. That was Patrick Waugh's first coming out party, really, if you want to call it that. He was just amazing in that series. But after that, my life got really, really busy and doing other things, and in the early 1990s, I wasn't following hockey at all, even Montreal. I just wasn't paying much attention until the playoffs in 1993. And in the job I had at the time, I was a kind of a semi-public figure. I was driving, doing a lot of meetings. I was doing speeches and things, and I'd be driving home late at night. And back then, the English broadcast of the Montreal Canadiens was on an AM radio station that wasn't easily heard down here in the Maritimes. So I would listen to the French broadcast, which was on CBC FM radio, coast to coast, en français. Mm-hmm. So I listened to the French broadcast on the way home of the Montreal playoffs through April and May of 1993.
Yeah.
And I followed every game closely, but I don't think I saw very many.
Oh, really?
So I got them all on the radio in French, and it was fantastic. I just love the excitement. You could hear the crowd in the background, and the whole playoff run that Montreal had that year. And that's the year, of course, they ended up facing L.A.
Right.
In the finals, who barely beat Toronto. And Toronto fans, I'm sure, are still crazy about that. So there, I guess the short answer, now that it's already too long, is from about 1987 or 88 until about 1992, 93, I didn't follow hockey at all. I just didn't. And then after that, I started to follow a little bit more. And when you started playing hockey,
Yeah.
in the early 90s, I followed hockey a lot, but not so much NHL hockey.
Yeah.
I was following your team, and then I ended up being the announcer at our Saturday night games.
Yeah, music guy.
Yeah, music guy, doing the bump, bump, bump. And that was a lot of fun. And at home, sometimes I go home frozen solid, with a bag of fries and gravy or something from the arena. And the last thing I want to do is watch hockey on TV.
Yeah,
I was just hockeyed out.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch a lot of hockey in the 90s after Montreal won that cup.
Good answer. For me, I watched hockey avidly up until 2006, and then Edmonton lost in the finals there. And from that mid 2006 till mid 2010, I didn't watch barely any hockey. I got more into video games. I felt like my team wasn't competitive. The Canadians weren't competitive at all.
Mm-mm.
It was just a really tough time for me as a fan to watch hockey because my team was completely out of it. I still followed the scores. I watched the odd game. I remember sitting in one of my old apartments on my little tiny 20-inch CRT TV watching the Canadians and the Islanders play back in I think it was New Year's Eve, because I remember spending that New Year's Eve alone. It's the Islanders and Canadians, and I remember them losing and being like, ugh, this is why I don't watch hockey. But yeah, and then 2010 came along, and I took notice of the Sharks, and I made the decision that the Sharks would be my second favorite team. Then I'm going to start watching hockey again. Canadians going to be my first favorite team. They still weren't good. And I'm going to watch the Sharks, and I'm going to follow St. Louis, I'm going to follow Colorado, and I'm going to follow a couple other teams. But yeah, that's for about 4 years there. I didn't watch hockey at all, basically.
So for that reason, I guess you're going to be happy either way Tuesday night. The Sharks are in Montreal.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. But it's a game I'd probably like to go to in the future when San Jose visits the Canadians, maybe in a couple years. Thought about going this year, but it happens in a tough time of year because for us to get there, it's just a lot cheaper for us to drive probably. And it's the weather and stuff. And even if we fly, there's weather. We've been through that with Montreal. But anyways, yes, that's
cool.
That's
I like that idea.
Yeah,
so we're going to pull a fish every week. And,
so I'll delete this question off this specific fish, and then put a new question on the fish and put it back in the bowl. So each fish has a different question.
Cool.
Each week there'll be a different question. So if you have any questions you want to add to the fish, put them down in the comments below on YouTube, and you can just say question for Fishbowl and then your question. So that wraps it up. Thanks guys for Thanks guys for listening. If you're listening on iTunes or Google Play or whatever podcatcher you're using, thank you very much. We appreciate it. There were some visual aids in this video, so you might have to come back and check the video on YouTube to see those, specifically the Fishbowl intro. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube for the first time, hope you can hit the subscribe button. If you like this podcast, hit the like button, and we will see you in the next podcast next Sunday. I don't know what date it is, but
it'll be January 6th.
January 6th, yeah. We'll see you then. Adios. It's actually the 7th.